Upstairs, Downstairs, Part 1. Production number 1502. Recording date 26/72. Take 1.
Now, Rose, as soon as Miss Elizabeth arrives...
Oh, Mr. Hudson?
Mrs. Curbridge. As soon as Mr. and Mrs. Curbridge arrive, you can go straight upstairs and pack your case.
I'll have to leave it open for me dress tonight.
Yes, well, it won't take you a moment to change after luncheon. Put all your things ready to change into. I don't want you to be keeping Mr. and Mrs. Curbridge waiting when they're ready to set off for Greenwich.
No, Mr. Hudson.
There.
Oh, Mrs. Bridges. Ooh, that looks lovely, Mrs. Bridges. It always was Miss Liz's favourite dessert.
Who's Rose?
I hope Mr. and Mrs. Curbridge enjoyed their honeymoon.
I gather from her ladyship that Austria proved perfectly satisfactory for those who like the foreign part.
I wouldn't like to spend my honeymoon among a lot of foreigners.
Ah, well, they're back now.
How are you, Edward? Rather a lot of luggage, I'm afraid. Lawrence, have you looked? Oh, that's fine. Where's my mother, Edward?
In the morning room, Mrs. Curbridge.
Well done, Edward. You remembered. Hello, darling.
Mother.
Lawrence, you do look well.
Why didn't Edward take that for you?
No, that's the one with the presents in it. Put it on the table, Lawrence, so that I can have a scratch.
It's all right.
Put it on the floor. Did you have a good crossing? Very good. Didn't stop Lawrence being sick.
I don't know why people who aren't seasick are always so superior to people who are.
Oh, Lawrence, how I agree with you. Whenever I'm lying in the cabin feeling simply dreadful, Elizabeth's father flings open the door, letting in blasts of fresh air, and says, what you need is a brisk walk round the deck. Throughout our married life, it's happened every time we've crossed the channel together.
And it's obviously going to happen with us, too. Except that in our case, Lawrence is reclining in the cabin and I'm walking about the deck, letting in blasts of cold air. Hudson, how lovely to see you.
Welcome back, Mrs. Curbridge.
Hello, Hudson.
Good morning, sir. Would you care for some sherry, my lady?
Lawrence?
Oh, thank you.
Elizabeth, do you want to come upstairs and take your hat off?
No, not till I find your present.
Sherry, madam?
No, thank you, Hudson. I'll have some schnapps if you've got some. It's all right, I'm only joking. Yes, I will have some. Put it over there, would you?
Sit down, Lawrence. Elizabeth is rummaging. Your father's so sorry he couldn't be here. He had to have lunch at the house with a tiresome constituent who didn't like the line he took on old age pensions.
Well, if Father knows he was right, I don't know why he bothers with it. Or is the man a large contributor to party funds?
Thank you, Hudson.
My lady.
Oh, Hudson, is Rose ready?
Yes, my lady.
Ready for what?
It's a surprise that Hudson and I have concocted between us.
Good. I like surprises, usually. Look! I got this for Henrietta.
Oh, it's charming.
One should perhaps mention that it wasn't bought for its beauty, but for its social significance.
Good heavens, really?
You see, we went into this big shop in the Somethingstrasse.
The something, Stranger.
Yes, well, they were selling hand-carved boxes and things at enormous prices. And I went to the back of the shop, and there was this little man working away in a dreadfully bad light, carving them. So I told Lawrence to hold the owner of the shop in conversation.
Yes, that wasn't easy. He wasn't interested in politics, and the only poet he'd ever heard of was Byron.
Yes, well, anyway, Lawrence managed to keep him out of the way while I asked the old man if he hadn't something of his own to sell. And he brought out this. So I was able to buy it from him direct without any horrid middleman taking the profit.
And that's cheating the unfortunate shopkeeper who was paying the rent and taxes and making sure the old man didn't starve.
Never mind, it was a blow against sweated labour. And I know Henrietta will approve.
Darling, you haven't changed a bit.
Haven't I, Mother?
Did Miss Elizabeth enjoy our peaches call back?
She did indeed, Mrs. Bridges. And she says she's coming downstairs to tell you so herself.
Oh, gracious. I'm put on a clean apron. I'm not fit to be seen. I hope Mr. Curbridge isn't coming down, too.
No, I believe he has to leave very shortly. He has an appointment with a publisher.
Isn't he going to Greenwich with Miss Elizabeth? Their first day and their new home.
Apparently not, Mrs. Bridges. I thought Lady Marjorie seemed a wee bit put out about it.
Not surprised.
Mr. Curbridge spoke to me ever so nicely, didn't he, Mr. Hudson?
Oh, he's always been a very pleasant, easygoing young gentleman. Ruby.
I thought he looked handsomer than ever.
Handsome is as handsome does.
And now, Rose, as soon as we start serving coffee, you can go straight upstairs and change.
I won't be a minute, Mr. Hudson.
Oh, Ruby, what have you broken now? Get out of here.
Do you think you're going to miss us, Rose, when you go down to Greenwich, eh?
Ow! You made me spin it. I tell you, Edward, if I miss you, it'll be a good miss.
Robert, just some larks out there.
I hope Rose will have no such thing. And Rose, while I'm on the subject,
Yes, Mr. Hudson?
Mrs. Curbridge not being experienced as lady of the house, it will be up to you to maintain standards in the kitchen and elsewhere.
There'll be a cook in charge of the kitchen, Mr. Hudson.
Well, that's very true, Mrs. Bridges, but a cook general is not quite the same as, as what we're accustomed to here. I'm not suggesting that your role should usurp authority in the kitchen, but as far as serving, dishing up, running the household is concerned, you will have very big responsibilities, Rose. I want to be sure that you take them seriously.
Oh, I will, Mr. Hudson. I will.
You mean I can have Rose?
I thought you'd be pleased. Mind you, you can't keep her. I'm only lending it to you. It's just to settle you in.
Oh, but that's marvellous, dear Rose. What a difference it'll make. I was dreading having to give orders to a lot of strange servants.
And I found you quite a good cook, Mrs. Fellows. Of course, with the cook general, you don't expect quite the same standards, but her references are good, and I saw her former employer.
Oh, did you really, Lady Marjorie? There was a great deal of trouble today.
I never trust the written references. After all, when you employ servants, you're taking them into your house, bringing them into contact with your children. Everything they do reflects on you. In a sense, their reputation's yours.
Oh, what a terrifying thought. I hate being responsible for other people. It's bad enough being responsible for oneself.
All bachelors feel like that. That's why perennial bachelors are such trivial people. When you marry, you have to accept responsibility.
All this just because we're engaging a cook. Who was her former employer? Why did she leave? Had she been burning the soup?
No. No, she was in the household of a bank manager who'd been appointed to a branch in Manchester. His wife said that Mrs. Fellows was clean and capable, but hadn't a great range of dishes.
Never mind, I'll teach you some Viennese cooking. Tafelspitz, Knödel.
Apfelstrudel, Sackentorte.
Well, don't alarm her too much at first. I should let her settle in with cutlets and trifle. More coffee, Lawrence?
No, thank you. I really ought to be going.
I hope your publisher's encouraging and offers you a lot of money.
Oh, I don't suppose he'll offer any money.
Really? I thought if he published your poems, he'd naturally pay you for it. I mean, people buy books, don't they? So surely... Well, of course, I really know nothing about publishing.
No.
Lawrence hopes to write some articles. He'll get paid for those. The Pall Mall Gazette have asked him for 2 reviews already.
Oh, but that's splendid. And I suppose it's the same as with everything else. You start in a small way and work your way up.
Except that a poet isn't exactly like a draper's assistant, moving on through socks and ties to silk handkerchief.
Perhaps what we should really do is open a poetry shop in the Strand and sell your poems over the counter.
Well, anyway, you've plenty of time to look around and decide what you want to do. And meanwhile, you should be able to live at Greenwich very economically. I agreed on £30 a year for the cook. I hope you feel that's all right.
I suppose so. That's what cooks usually get.
Your father and I'll pay Rose's wages as our contribution. You'll need a kitchen maid, but that should only cost £16 a year, so... Well, apart from a jobbing gardener.
And Lawrence's manservant.
Lawrence's?
Manservant.
I'm sorry,
No, it's all right. I advertised for one before we left.
I haven't received any application.
No. Well, I gave my mother's address for replies. I didn't want to bother you.
Ah, yes, I see. You don't think a manservant might be rather expensive? I doubt if you could pay less than £50 a year. It might be a good idea to have a boot boy.
Oh, no. It must have a manservant. It's such a delightful expression, my manservant. It sets one standards. It gives one something to live up to.
Don't you think if you had a boot boy you could set standards for him?
Well, it wouldn't be the same.
No. Well, if you feel it wouldn't put too much of a strain on your finances...
I'm sure we shall manage beautifully. Well, thank you, Lady Marjorie, for a delicious lunch. I'll see you at Greenwich, Elizabeth.
I suppose I'll have to take all the luggage.
Well, yes, of course. I don't want to drag it all over Holborn. You're going straight to Greenwich. Greenwich, that means green wood. I think I shall call it that. We live under the greenwood tree. Is there a tree in the garden?
I don't remember.
Well, we'll have to plant one.
Elizabeth?
You didn't ask if I'd like any more coffee. I think I would.
Oh, sorry. Darling,
Yes?
the income from your marriage settlement will only bring in $700 a year. So with Lawrence not earning any, regular, you'll have to be very careful about money.
Well, really, Mother, I think you've made that quite plain. I don't feel we're heading so much for our first home as for the workhouse.
Darling, no, I didn't mean... I really only wanted to say... Well, when your father and I were married...
Yes? Oh, what is it, Mother? I think you'd better come out with it. You'll feel much better.
When I married your father, he wasn't a rich man.
He isn't now, is he?
No. What's mine's his, naturally, but it isn't easy for a man to marry a wife whose family has more money than he has.
Oh, Mother, we don't care about that. Money isn't as important to us as it is to you.
Money's always important if you haven't enough of it. Let Lawrence make the decisions, darling, especially about money. A marriage will never succeed if you don't.
But it will succeed if I do.
Well, Elizabeth...
I think I'd better go and see Mrs. Bridges. Is she better now?
is quite recovered, though she'll never get over missing your wedding. Don't forget to mention the peaches.
I'm very glad you enjoyed it.
I wish you could come and cook it for me at Greenwich.
Oh, Well, I'm sure her ladyship's found you a very good cook, miss. A good plain cook, she said she was.
But not like you, Mrs. Bridges.
Oh, well. Miss Elizabeth, you want to start as you mean to go on. Do as her ladyship does. See cook's accounts every week and make sure they tally. I'm sure she wouldn't mean to cheat you, but a penny here and a penny there soon mounts up, and slipshod ways cost money.
Yes, Mrs. Bridges, thank you. Oh, I almost forgot. I brought you a present from Vienna. Well, for all of you, for everybody.
Oh, you open it, Miss Stradson.
No, no, Mrs. Bridges, you open it.
Oh, right. Oh, oh. Oh, well now, that's very...
Open the lid.
Oh, it's a music box. Oh, isn't that...
What's that tune then?
Tales from the Vienna woods. Rose, are you ready?
I suppose we'd better go. Fancy a lady dancing in kitchen.
You must remember, Ruby, that Mrs. Curbridge grew up here in this house.
She'll never grow up, not altogether. Not that young lady. Bless her.
Edward, get out the luggage while I fetch a cab. Look sharp now.
Now, Ruby, get on with them tureens.
See Mr. Curbridge.
Miss Lizzie,
What?
he looks like a debt collector.
Don't say we're being done before we even move in.
Don't let him inside.
Would you be Mrs. Curbridge?
Yes.
Ah, well, I had your letter, Mum. You see, it says to come for an interview at 4 o'clock
Interview?
for the post of valet.
This isn't my... Oh, yes, this is from my husband's mother. Well, I'm afraid Mr. Curbridge isn't here at the moment. Perhaps you could come back another day.
Oh, well, I come a long way, see, Mum.
Oh, very well, I'll see you myself.
Oh, thanks very much, Mum.
Rose, open the door so we can get all the stuff inside.
Oh, allow me, Mum.
Thank you.
You did say you'd see me now, Mum?
Yes, of course. Do sit down.
Thanks very much, Mum.
Excuse me, madam. Would you like me to pay the cab driver?
Oh, yes. Yes, please, Rose. What is your name?
Watkins, Mum. Thomas Watkins.
And, you have some references, of course.
Oh, yes. Yes, I've got a letter here from my last employer.
Abergavenny? Oh, I don't think I could go to Abergavenny, wherever that may be.
It's in Wales.
I thought it might be.
Your purse, madam.
Thank you, Rose. Didn't my mother say that the cook was supposed to be here?
Yes, madam. I'll go and see where she is.
Why did you leave your last employer?
He was going to Australia, ma'am.
Oh. Didn't you want to go with him?
No. No, not enough scope there, from what I hear.
Well, I don't know that there's going to be a great deal of scope here.
What would my duties be?
Duties? Yes, duties. Well, to look after the master's clothing, I suppose. Light the fire in his dressing room. Keep it tidy. Clean the boots, fill coal scuttles.
Clean the boots?
If you wouldn't mind.
So I'd be footman valet?
Yes. We'd like you to wait at table and help out generally. Indoors, that is. We thought we'd get a job in gardener.
Oh, I'll look after the garden for you if you like.
Oh, yes, all right.
Cook? Are you there?
Oh. There now. I thought you'd come while I was out. I hope you thought to put something on the fire.
We've only just got here. Besides, it is not my place to make up the kitchen fire.
Oh, there now. I suppose you'll be wanting a bit of hot supper tonight. And the master and mistress will be wanting their dinner. Well, I can't do everything. Not with my leg.
Oh, the master will be dining out tonight.
Oh, there now. And I've got some nice chops in. I thought he'd fancy them. Oh, well, I feel I'm going to be always coming and going. I don't like a household where they're always coming and going. And like I told her ladyship, I can't do any heavy work, not with my leg.
What would the wages be?
£50? £50 a year and a suit of clothes.
A livery?
No, I don't want you in a livery.
Oh.
You see, you'd really be my husband's valet. I think a black suit would be appropriate.
Right you are, ma'am. When would you like me to start?
Start?
Well, I can get my things and be with you tomorrow morning if you like.
Oh, yes, all right. Perhaps you could come fairly early so that my husband could see you.
Right you are, ma'am.
Excuse me, madam. Have you engaged that young man?
I rather think I must have. What on earth time did you get in last night?
Just after midnight. You were sound asleep.
Midnight with the last train.
I went for a walk.
Lawrence. I was waiting for you.
Oh. Were you? I thought you'd be tired out after all your little wifely nest-making activity. And I got off the train, and it was such a glorious night. I could hear Queen Elizabeth dancing in a ghostly but compelling manner down at the old palace. So I went for a walk up to the top of the hill, and I sat on a gate and I wrote a poem. I chanted it to myself very loudly all the way back. And when I came in, you were sleeping like a rather causal Madonna. I thought it was a shame to wake you, so I didn't.
Mrs. Fellows, have you seen the big warming dish, the silver one?
Oh, it must be there somewhere. Oh, there now. I thought those sausages had burst, and I picked every last one of them.
I know it's here somewhere. I want to know where. It's called a chafing dish. It holds water at the bottom. I know they've got one because I've seen it. I was given one as a wedding present.
There was a big dish up on top of the dresser.
Well, what's it doing there? It's supposed to be kept with the rest of the silver. Mrs. Fellows, have we by any chance got a step ladder?
Oh, I'll buy the coal hole. How do they like the bacon?
I don't know.
Oh, I wonder if I've got time to slip round the corner and get some kidneys. I can't serve burst sausages.
Mrs. Fellows, would you give us a hand, please? Mrs. Fellows, would you come and take it from me, please?
You shouldn't have put your clean one on till you were ready.
I thought I was ready.
Well, of course, in the last place, we had a kitchen maid to do the dirty work.
Yes. Well, we had kitchen maid, footman, butler, and another house parlour maid.
Oh, dare say you did. But you haven't now. How you'll manage when you've got all the fires to do, I don't know. And I can't do any heavy work. Not with my leg. I told her ladyship that from the start.
Oh, I forgot to tell you, your man's coming this morning.
Man?
Footman valet footman.
Oh, my man, sir.
He came for an interview with you yesterday, and as you weren't here, I saw him.
Good. What's he like?
I don't know. I don't think Rose liked him very much.
What, engaging him for Rose, are you?
No, but she'll have to work with him. Lawrence, there's an article about you.
Really?
Alone among the younger poets, Lawrence Curbridge is able to express new and exciting thoughts in a language of classic style and simplicity.
Who's it by?
Stephen Keating.
Oh, so this is the little surprise he said he'd got for me.
Do you know him?
Yes, we had dinner with him last night.
I thought you were having dinner with your tutor from Cambridge.
We met Stephen Keating with some friends. He took us all to the Café Royal. I talked about Austria and was frightfully witty about Lederhosen. People who said Grüß Gott every time they tripped over your feet in the park. So Stephen's going to get me a commission to write some articles about it.
But that's marvellous.
Yes. Isn't it?
Mrs. Fellows, if you would do the plates before doing your pots and pans, I could finish the drying up and get on with the rest of my work.
Oh, there now. I thought the tradesmen would be calling round for their orders soon.
I'll go. He's probably the new man. Oh,
Good morning.
you better come inside.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to get very far standing outside on the step, am I?
It's become Prime Minister.
Not many poets do either. Did you want to take this tie with you, sir?
Yes, it goes with those socks.
Ah, it should have been cleaned, really. Never mind, I'll give it a press later. Yes, sir, every job's got scope in it, sir. If you look for it.
And what scope can you find in being a valet?
Well, let's see, sir. You might become famous and travel all over the world reading your poetry, see? Well, naturally, I'd come with you. And I might meet one of those rich American ladies. There's lots of them about, I believe. Widows and such like. And I'd marry her, see? Or maybe we'd go to South Africa. And I'd be playing cards with a man who couldn't pay. But he gave me a worthless scrap of paper that'd turn out to be a diamond mine. So there you are, millionaire again. Oh, there's always scope somewhere, sir.
Meanwhile, you press my ties.
Ah. Well, sir, you have to do a good job on whatever you're doing at the moment, sir. I mean, you have to do that. Otherwise, you can't take advantage of the scope when you find it, see? Do you ever wear these, sir?
Yes, of course I do. Why?
Well, they are a bit like a Costa's night out, aren't they?
They are my walking socks. Since we shall be going for long walks all over the downs, I shall certainly be needing them.
Very good, sir.
I wish you weren't going.
I'm sure it'll be dreadfully dull. You'll be much happier here.
Not without you. Lawrence, while you're away, will you think about us?
Of course I will.
I do love you.
Well, I love you too.
No, don't say it like that.
How should I say?
You make it sound so easy. It's not easy at all.
I must go and change. I miss my train.
Hey, Thomas, do you ever go down the mines?
No. No, Dad said I was too bright for that, so he sent me to school. But then he died. Mum needed the money coming in, so I went to work in a bicycle shop.
What did you do?
Mending punches, mostly. Mending punches, cleaning boots. I haven't progressed very far, have I?
Yes, you have. See, you only clean boots now to oblige.
You know, sitting here with you mending my coat, we're like an old married couple, aren't we?
Not quite. Hey, Thomas, your last job. Can't have been very good, or they wouldn't have let you wear a coat like this.
Well, I suppose they didn't notice.
Yeah, well, that'll have to do until the master gets you a new one.
You know, I think you must be the nicest, kindest, prettiest girl in the whole world.
Oh, you're just saying that.
Am I? Try me. Come on.
What?
Come on, Rose.
No, Thomas, no. It wouldn't be right.
You love me, that's right enough, isn't it?
Well, maybe, but if it doesn't feel right, then it isn't right.
You're a funny girl, aren't you? Here, tell you what I'll do with you. I make a bargain. I close my eyes, blind man buff, chase you around the kitchen. If I catch you, you got to give me a proper kiss, right?
I don't accept.
You have to accept. 1, 2...
Thomas, I don't. That's not fair.
Right, I'm after you now. Now then, give us a clue as to where you are. See?
Oh,
Now I can hear
You're
you. See, I'm
cheating.
not cheating. I can't see.
Oh,
There's
man.
a kitchen. Now I can hear you. I can't hear you at all, Roger. You're my... Oh, there you are. I got you. I got you. I'm right.
How dare you? Dare you behave like that? I won't have it in my kitchen, I won't. You can take a week's notice. Both of you.
When would you like me to leave, madam?
Oh, Rosie. Rosie.
Oh, Miss Lizzie. Let me make you some hot milk.